Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Stories from the Black Kitchen. In today's episode we will be discussing a song from John Dowland's first book of songs from 1597. Now, oh now, I needs must part. Let me read you a passage from the text. Now, oh now, I needs must part, parting though I absent mourn. Absence can no joy impart, joy once fled cannot return. And so we've got parting, mourning and no return in the song. During the 16th and 17th centuries, it was common for art, be it poetry or music, to serve as a vehicle to influence powerful individuals. In 1579, the Duke d'Anjou d'Alençon renewed his proposal to marry Queen Elizabeth, a proposal that had been under negotiation since 1572. D'Anjou, a Catholic, was regarded by many Elizabeth's men as a threat. This period saw a great deal of political intrigue surrounding Elizabeth's marriage plans, which were perceived as having significant religious and political implications. 1579, the same year, marked also the publication of Edmund Spenser's The Shepherd's Calendar, a collection of 12 eclogues, one for each month of the year. These may, in fact, reflect the political climate of the time, offering an implicit commentary on the tension surrounding Elizabeth's marriage negotiations. One of the most prominent instances of political opposition at the court occurred in response to Elizabeth's possible marriage to François de Valois, Duke d'Anjou, and subsequently Alençon. This proposal faced fierce resistance from a Protestant elite at the English court, and much of the opposition is thought to have been orchestrated by members of the Privy Council, aiming to influence Elizabeth's decision by appealing to public sentiment. Edmund Spenser's Shepherd's Calendar represents perhaps the most elaborate example of these political campaigns. The text, though very focused on pastoral themes, is thought to contain veiled criticisms of the marriage negotiations. Similarly, John Dowland's Now, oh now, I needs must part may be interpreted as a musical reflection of the political tensions surrounding these events. In this context, Robert Dudley, Earl of Leicester, emerges as a key figure behind the scenes. Leicester, along with Sir Francis Walsingham, was one of the most ardent opponents of Elizabeth's marriage to d'Anjou. His influence within the inner circles of power was substantial, and it is believed that his patronage played a significant role in the production of works like The Shepherd's Calendar. In his analysis of Spenser's work, Wolfgang Iser suggests that the poem's eclogues subtly encouraged the reader to take a stance on the political situation without directly addressing the issue at hand. He argues that this type of poetry, though seemingly innocent, carries a manipulative and magical force, as it compels the reader, and in this case also the audience, to make their own political decisions. Iser writes, "If poetry is to intervene in history, it must not overtly advertise its intentions, but rather be structured in a way that allows the reader to uncover the hidden purpose themselves." Spenser's engagement with the political climate of the time was not an isolated endeavour. His works were closely associated with the political machinations of Robert Dudley and other members of the court. A major political event, Elizabeth's potential marriage to the Duke d'Anjou, prompted an organized opposition that utilized new methods of political mobilization. This included appealing to groups outside the royal court, who, though not directly part of the nobility, were nonetheless educated in the courtesies of the court and sought to express their opinions on state matters. Patronage from the highest echelons of power was key in encouraging the production of artistic works that reflected the political concerns of the time. This patronage encouraged and at the same time protected individuals such as Edmund Spenser in the work. Spenser, with his calendar, escaped completely unscathed, unlike Philip Sidney, who fell into disfavour, or indeed John Stubbs, who lost his right hand for having written the pamphlet titled The Discovery of a Gaping Gulf Whereinto England is Like to be Swallowed by Another French Marriage. The song Now or Now I Needs Must Part is set in the form of a courante, a musical dance form that was the Galliard of the French. The courante was the most popular dance in France at the time. It is set to the tune of the Frog Galliard, a well-known piece for solo lute. And while it is difficult to pinpoint the exact date of its composition, it was already established by the time the first book of songs was published in 1597. The title, Frog Galliard, is particularly intriguing as it is believed that Queen Elizabeth often referred to the Duke d'Anjou as her frog. Given this, it is possible that the piece was named after him, adding a layer of political subtext to Dowland's composition. A letter from Elizabeth to Duke d'Anjou, dated after June the 16th, 1579, reveals that the Queen granted him passage to England. He arrived in Greenwich on the 17th of August, 1579, travelling incognito and staying at her court for 13 days. The visit, it seems, was a success, as Elizabeth appeared genuinely enamoured with the Duke. When his departure came, the Spanish ambassador reported that the parting was very tender on both sides. However, the marriage negotiations ultimately failed. Much as they wished the Queen to take a husband, Elizabeth's subjects disapproved of d'Anjou, and the proposed marriage caused a great deal of discontent, as is clear from another letter from Elizabeth to d'Anjou. The Queen eventually abandoned the idea with apparently genuine regret. She composed a poem on Monsieur's departure in which she reflects on the painful nature of love and parting. I will read you just a few lines from the poem. I grieve and dare not show my discontent. I love and yet am forced to seem to hate. And then at the end she says, or let me live with some more sweet content, or die, and so forget what love e'er meant. The Duc d'Alençon sailed back to France, never to return to England again. His brief visit and the subsequent failure of the marriage negotiations became a poignant moment in the political landscape of Elizabethan England. And now we come to the song of parting and no return. The third stanza says, dear, if I do not return, love and I shall die together. For my absence never mourn, whom you might have joyed ever. Part we must, though now I die. Die I do to part with you, him despair doth cause to lie, who both loved and dieth true. And now let's listen to the song.
Now I needs must part, parting though my absent moon. Absence can no joy impart, joy was fled cannot return. While I live I needs must love, love lives not when hope is gone. Now at last despair doth prove, love divided loveth none. Sad despair doth drive me hence, this despair unkindness sends. If that parting be offence, it is she which then offends. Sad despair doth drive me hence, this despair unkindness sends. If that parting be offence, it is she which then offends. Here when I am from thee gone, gone are all my joys at once. I loved thee and thee alone, in whose love I joy at once. And though your sight I leave, sight wherein my joys do lie, till that death do sense me leave, never shall affection die. Sad despair doth drive me hence, this despair unkindness sends. If that parting be offence, it is she which then offends. Sad despair doth drive me hence, this despair unkindness sends. If that parting be offence, it is she which then offends. Dear, if I do not return, love and I shall die together, for my absence never known, whom you might have joyed ever. Part we must, though now I die, die I do to part with you. Him despair doth cause to lie, who both lived and dieth true. Sad despair doth drive me hence, this despair unkindness sends. If that parting be offence, it is she which then offends. Sad despair doth drive me hence, this despair unkindness sends.